In this video, we will be going over how to use Forex Factory to realize news events in the market. The first thing you'll want to do is go to www.forexfactory.com. On your main screen, you should see the day, and from here, you can click on any date. Once you click on today, and it'll reveal the actual date. You can click on any date, going back or even forward, to realize what news events will occur. Let me go ahead and explain exactly what each column represents. Of course, your date. Today's date is July 7th, Thursday, 2016. In this column here, you have everything that's going on today. So if I click this button going forward to the 8th, now you have everything for, you have everything for the 8th. So we're going to take a look at the 8th. Alright? Now, the next column, you have the time of the actual news release. Right now, my time is 2:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is the time that the news release will actually hit, or will be released. The currency that the news release will affect, and then also the impact that you can expect to occur when the news release takes place. Yellow indicates low impact, orange indicates medium, and then obviously the red is a high impact news event. The high impact, you can definitely expect to have high volatility. If you want to know exactly what the news event entails, you can always click on detail. Tomorrow we have a non-farm payroll employment change. This is one of the highly traded or anticipated news events for the U.S. It happens every first Friday of the month. And let's click on detail. Here you have a summary of exactly what will happen, what to expect, the source, the measures, the usual effect, the frequency, as I said, released monthly, usually on the first Friday after the month ends, which first Friday of every month. The next release after this month will be August 5th. And why traders care is just a little, description of, how it will impact the market. It's also called jobless rate. Then, if you want to look at the history of how it actually took place, you can always click on each date, previous month, going back, and then more. These are the actual forecasts and previous numbers. So the last month, it was predicted for 4.9%. The actual was 4.7%. So it was slightly lower. The previous month, which is also May 6th, based on July 3rd. So the previous month and the previous, as in here, would always be the same. This would be the same as this would be the same as this, and so on. So the previous month, when you start looking at this, weighing this based on the previous month, the forecast and the actual, you can see the temperament of the actual news event itself. And then it'll create an actual graph of how the market, how this news release was actually corresponding to the actual market itself. And as you see here, the way it's been going, it's actually been going down. All right, so that's just an idea. You can zoom out, zoom in, all of that. So that's how you would do that. And you can use this handle here, the X, to click out of that. You can click out of the detail, click on this. Now, something that I used to do when I traded the fundamentals is, and this might be handy for you, is that if you're going to trade the fundamental, you can always look at the history. And I would look for instance, I would look at the high impact. I would focus on all the high impact. And I would only trade those that were high impact. So I would look to see, okay, employment change. I would go to detail. It's the Canadian dollar. So I would look at these numbers here. Then I would look at the history. Okay, June 10th. And then, because it occurred on, let's go back out. Because I know that it occurred at 8:30, it's the Canadian dollar, and it's the employment change, high impact, I would go back and see what the previous month did. For instance, I would look for May 6th, and I would look at this time frame of May 6th on the Canadian pairs to see which pair actually responded, or how this particular pair, or how the Canadian pairs responded to this news release. And if I notice that there's a lot of volatility, I would write that down and I will put that inside of my spreadsheet as a news release to actually trade with the date. And then I would also look at, well, not the dates, but also the time, and then also the currency pairs affected, and how often with this pair, or I would look at, okay, how many pips did this pair move this date? Okay, if it moved 129 pips on this date, and then 117, and then 94, and then 103, and then 79. I would do an average. Add them up and do an average. Okay, well, for the Canadian whatever pair, it moved this amount of pips on average. So I would look at, okay, I know that if I'm going to trade on this pair during this news release at this time, I can expect to see this type of movement. So that's a very handy way of, if you're going to trade fundamental reports or news releases, you can do that. All right, so this is how you use the Forex Factory news channel, or news website, their channel. This is how you use it. This is how I've always used it, and it does work. But I don't trade fundamentals as heavy as I used to. Just make sure that you understand that sometimes your currency pairs that are listed here, the news release might have an effect on other pairs that are not listed here. So you might want to also cross-reference that as well when you're doing your back testing for the volatility on any particular news release, with any particular currency pair. All right. Hopefully this helped you guys. Thank you.